Okay, so uniform can work as either an adjective or as a noun. Um, in this case, it's working as an adjective. In the first example, simpler societies are more, so it's a quality of those societies, they're more uniform. Um, so whereas advent can only work as a noun. So you can't be more advent.
Oh,
Yes, advent is a noun. It's the same as beginning, the
yeah,
beginning of, the
the
advent
beginning.
of something. So you're referring to a moment in time or to an event. You're calling it an advent. Um,
What does it mean, this sentence?
okay, so simpler societies are more uniform. That is, simpler societies are more homogeneous. They
Mm.
tend to be more similar internally.
Yeah.
So to say that something is uniform in this way, not a uniform, but is uniform, is to say that it is internally similar. Most people in a simple society are more or less the same in terms of their social roles, I would say. Um, they call for and provide opportunities for a smaller diversity. So a lower diversity, a lesser diversity, a smaller diversity of individual skills. Uh, so the sentence is about how if you have a very simple society, you don't have a lot of specialization. You don't have very diverse skills in that society. You don't have one person who's a poet and another person who's an engineer and another person who's a school teacher and another person who, is a janitor.
Yeah.
You actually have everybody does a little bit of all of those things.
So why we cannot use uniform instead?
So,
Because of the meaning.
so in this case, um, it's what can modify diversity. Diversity is actually about quantity, a level of diversity. Uh,
So we don't have uniform diversity.
I can imagine a situation where if there weren't the comparison set up, a far something diversity of, if that far weren't there to intensify, it it might be possible to talk about uniform diversity. That is, there are uniform levels of diversity across different populations. Um, you might be able to use it, but in this case, it's just much simpler to say uniform can't modify diversity, especially not in this context. Less individual. So in this case, an individual is distinct from individual as a quality, which we might say less individualist to make it clearer that we're using it as a yeah, less individual is about the qualities of people. Are they more or less individual? Are they more or less distinct from each other?
So
That I guess that wouldn't make sense. I think you have to be dealing with the abstraction of man or humanity. So a primitive culture is less individualist, would be another way of saying the same thing. A primitive culture, primitive man is less individual. He, in this case, actually refers to they.
so what
It means that their individual differences are not as pronounced, I would say.
you mean that
It's
they don't have engineers? Or
yeah,
they are all the same uniform.
it's much more common to use the word individual as a noun, as you say, an individual. If that's much more common. It's just that here they're using it in its very uncommon, but maybe,
Adjective.
yeah, maybe anthropologically it's more common, like if you're talking about theory or about abstractions.
Mhm. Yeah, I got it. Perfect.
Mm.